Hi, this is the video review for Chapter 1 for Shank's Emergence of Sport Marketing. What we look at here for sport organization, we look at all the different ways sport decides and is able to reach a different audience, as well as the inventory that it has available to it in order to generate revenue. We have game day abilities with ticket sales, concessions, and parking. We have media, as it shows, television, digital, mobile, broadcast, radio, all sorts of areas of media. Sponsorship, either with a league sponsorship or a team sponsorship. The event, the venue, perhaps the suites and luxury boxes, as well as being able to rent out the suite during non-event days. Merchandise is a huge area that we're looking at in terms of clothing, apparel, licensed goods, and others. And then other types of subsidies that we may have. A lot of sporting leagues have a revenue sharing plan. Some areas have government funding, such as building stadia, or a lot of state universities rely on a lot of funds from universities and from the state itself in order to have its athletic departments, as well as different types of pledges and donations, maybe at a YMCA or at a youth sport area. So we're looking at what is sport marketing? Sport marketing, the official definition is the specific application of marketing principles and processes to sport products and the marketing of non-sport products through the association of sport. Shank here really goes with a specific business type of definition. However, when we break that out, we can look at two main aspects of sport marketing. One is the marketing of sport. That is the marketing of teams, leagues, events, sporting goods, and the idea of marketing via sport. This is your traditional sponsorship. View sport as a magnet to a target audience. How non-sport related products and organizations want to connect to that target audience, sport is a tremendous vehicle to do so. To understand the sport industry itself, we want to look at sport, the definitions, a source of divergent or physical activity engaged for pleasure. It is a type of entertainment. So as sport marketers, when we look at direct and indirect competitors, we really want to see different types of entertainment for that. For example, in Cortland, if you're looking at the SUNY Cortland football competitors and indirect competitors, certainly the movie theaters, downtown, the library, studying, other events, other sporting activities that people may do, all that should be considered a competitor. We want to make sure with marketing and sport marketing specific, we do not suffer from myopia. For those of us who wear glasses, myopia is that short-sightedness. We're not focused on solely trying to get a sale now. Winning does not absolve all sins. Oftentimes we look at a negative correlation for teams that win over time with not being able to sell tickets. If you use the idea that winning is your number one goal in a marketing perspective, you will not do very well because A, that's something that we don't do. That's more of a personnel area. We don't really control much of the winning and losing. B, it isn't really the drive. We're looking at creating an atmosphere of revenue and for fan experiences. So the idea that we're just going to base it all on winning doesn't fit in with our marketing perspective. We wanted the idea that we're going to invest in a long-term research, understand our target audience, and move towards creating a relationship. If at all possible, we really want the fan to be in the arena. Once you come to the arena, you get ticket revenue, you get concessions. You certainly can look at team marketing report for the amount of money that it costs to go to a sporting event. We get significantly more revenue per person when they're in the arena than they would watching it at home. I know as a fan, we're looking at it, well, we're a big fan of a team and we watch games. That's well and good. But from the team perspective, we need to change that point of view. We need to make sure that we're getting people in. And we really need to start toggling between this idea between a fan and a marketer. It really is big business, meaning it's become a cliche. We need to really strive forward and understand what that means. People own teams, and teams exist to create revenue, either profit for an owner or trying to get more people involved in a nonprofit organization like YMCA or a youth soccer league. Somehow we're looking to maximize our revenue or our experience. That is the marketing point of view. Generally, sport marketing is the definition of marketing. We're satisfying consumers' wants and needs. So how do we know what they want? We need to ask them. We need to really drive into this idea of finding out what they want and how they respond to it. People are animals. We are human beings. Human beings are animals. We can predict and modify behavior, much like Pavlov did with his dog. So we need to understand that through a social scientist perspective. What is the difference between a customer and a consumer? A consumer is a person who actually uses the product. The customer is a larger organization at times that buys the quantities of the product. For example, Pepsi would have a consumer, that's all of us who's ever had a can of Pepsi, but the customer for Pepsi would be Wegmans, Walmart, PNC, your larger grocery stores. We bring this up here because sport marketing, as we've seen it on a on a consumer perspective, we've seen a lot of the tactics. We've seen people advertise to us. We've seen sponsorship try to get us to purchase their products. We've seen a lot of that as consumers. However, a large part of sport marketing is also this idea of customer marketing. We look at the suites in a stadium and we see people entertaining others. We know that the Procter & Gamble brings 500 of their biggest clients to the Olympics to show them entertainment, to bring them to athletes, to take them to the games. That is a huge aspect of sport marketing. We haven't seen it because we haven't been on that side of the equation as of yet. We want to look at a marketing orientation. How do we find out what they want? How do we use the information to make good decisions? That is this idea of marketing orientation. We need to go through an intelligence generation. We need to analyze the consumer demand. We need to collect information. We need to monitor the external environment. How does the economic activity impact our organization? How does unemployment impact our season ticket sales? Traditionally, if unemployment goes up, our season ticket sales may go down. Less people with affordable income to buy our tickets. However, some sport have seen just the exact opposite. Higher unemployment may lead to more running and more 5K races and more participatory events. We collect the information. That's going to be the first third of our program this semester. Then we create it, we share it, we go through intelligence dissemination. How do we prepare the reports? How do we develop it so it's easily understood? And then the idea is responsiveness. How do we make those decisions and how to respond to the marketplace? If there's a military conflict in the Middle East and oil becomes scarce and gas prices rise, how does that impact our sport? Well, if we count on people driving from long distances, if gas prices go up, certainly if they go over a threshold point like $3 or $3.50 a gallon, then usage and activity is going to decrease tremendously. We will have less people come to our games because of that. We're going to look at sport in many different ways. We're going to look and spin different ideas and spin different activities. We're going to look at the different consumers of sport. One consumer are spectators. We've been spectators. We've gone to games as individuals. Spectators in terms of corporations go to luxury box and hospitality. We've seen that media has actually changed our sport because of the impact of spectators. We've moved baseball games from all-day games to night so people can go to the games if you ever watched 8 Men Out. We show a lot of televised games. ESPN now shows 24-hour basketball during one of the early basketball days every year in college basketball, which means games and teams are moving to really odd hours, beginning a basketball game at midnight. The Qatar World Cup coming up in a few years. The indications already is that the games will start locally in late evening, because of the weather. So it's really impacting the sport itself. Media rights have been tremendously increases. I know that these are pretty dated and they've gone much, much higher. Also, participants are consumers. We play sports. We go and do things. We ski downhill. We play intramurals. We do intercollegiate athletics. We look at both unorganized, which aren't sanctioned or controlled, and organized sports. Organized can be amateur or professional. Our intramural activities are organized. Our intercollegiate activities may not be professional, but they are organized. They are sanctioned. different types of information, different types of sport that's available. We're looking at 2006 numbers, walking for fitness. 70 million people in the United States walk for fitness. This is a tremendous amount of information if you're looking for an active lifestyle. If you're looking for access to 70 million Americans, this is one way we can do it, and look at some of the other ones. And we'll look at some other specific research numbers when we get into our research chapter, chapter 3. Sponsors are also consumers. A sponsorship is the exchange of money or product for a right to associate its name or product with a sporting event. We can look at different corporate events and objectives, marketing objectives like increasing target audience or increasing sales or moving into a brand new market. We can look at media objectives through our sponsorship. We want to get more mentions on television. There's a lot of things that we can do for sponsorship. The idea of a sponsor, again, is that magnet. We want to use sport as a conduit to the target audience. So when we start talking about, if we're a consumer packaged good, what sport we want to become a sponsor of, the first question that we need, who are we trying to reach? We don't sponsor baseball to get to the audience. We figure out what audience we want first and then look at our options. Activation tactics for sponsorships: advertising, signage, hospitality, on-site sales displays, point of purchase displays, all different types of activation things that we'll look at certainly when we get into our sponsorship chapter in a few months. What is sport? When we talked about products in your Management 253, a product is a good or a service. So what is sport? Is sport a good? A good is a tangible physical product that offers benefits to consumers. Now we're looking at the point of view of marketing of sport, taking the sporting goods out of it. It's not really tangible, is it? We look at services, which are intangible, non-physical products. It's not really intangible. Sport is kind of both, kind of neither, depending on what we want to accomplish and what we're looking at. We're going to take theory from both sides. When we look at selling sport, marketing of sport, the team, the league, a player, we look at selling benefits, the excitement of it, your fitness level, your experience of it. We don't look to sell the sport because there's really nothing there. We do try to make as many items within that product tangible. We look at the facility. How do we make it comfortable for people? How do we get the seats correctly? How do we make the bathrooms good for people to go to and not be scared away? Ken Blanchard, author in Corporate Culture, had a great quote that said, "You can tell how much an organization cares about its consumers by the cleanliness of its bathroom." We're looking at all this activity to make it tangible: your food, your parking, the interactions that we have with our workers and our custodians and our employees and our ticket takers and our ushers. How can we increase them to make the best possible product that we can? Different types of sport products: sporting events, sporting goods, personal trainers, sport information, all sorts of different types of sport products. Some may be more sporting good, some may be more sport service, but they're still types of products. For example, the fitness center and the personal training, you have more of a good that you can look at in terms of the fitness machines that are there. There's something that's very tangible. The intangible aspects would be the experience that you get from it, and perhaps the service that you would have is this idea, if you use a personal trainer, how those personnel interact with you, how warm you feel, how comfortable you feel, how clean the environment is. In sport, we may look at it through a traditional marketing aspect where you have a manufacturing plant, you have a consumer, and then you have some sort of distribution point. We have distribution as well. We have producers and intermediaries, as Shank calls them. We have people that create the sport and people then deliver it to the end user. We have people like sport labor and ownership, the players and the owners, sanctioning bodies, the NCAA, the NFL, the IOC that market, create, and enforce the rules. We have sponsors. We have media, we have agents, we have manufacturers, we have all these different items that really we can fit into that traditional model that we learned in 253. So what is the primary function for our sport industry? We provide packaged events for spectators. We create facilities for and package events for players. We provide administrative support. Shank gets into those first four in quite in some depth in the book. I look at, excuse me, the fifth one that I added. As a marketer, we want to look at this idea. We want to eliminate reasons not to purchase. We want to look at why people aren't buying our product, why they aren't going to our game. Even more powerful, if we have a direct competitor in the same marketplace, why are they buying from them and not from us? Is it based on price? Is it based on comfortability? Has it the one other competitor's been around longer and has a deeper relationship? Why do people spend with our competitor, not with us? That is some vital information for us. We know that they want to buy a product. Now we just have to convince them to buy ours. We need to eliminate reasons why they aren't buying us and why they're buying somebody else. If they're not buying anybody in our product category, why not? Is it expensive? Is it too far away? Is it not convenient for them? Do people not like going skiing because it's cold out? Are they afraid that the hill looks huge when you're far away? People not go to the YWCA events because they think it's women only. Do not, whatever sporting activity and engagement it is, we want to find out what that reason why they're not buying from us and address that. We're going to look at the basic marketing principles, the sports marketing mix. When we look at the strategies for the product, how to license it, how to merchandise, how to brand it, how to package it. We're going to look at service decisions, pricing, managing demand, evaluating quality. We're going to look at how in that pricing aspect, how much should we charge? How do we maximize revenue, especially if we have different people responding to different things? For instance, if we have a person looking and we're judging them on their success by how much they make in terms of ticket revenue, we may be setting the ticket price at a much higher level to maximize that only, without realizing if we drop that price, we get more people in the arena. The more people we get in the arena, the more hot dogs and sodas and parking we get. However, if we drop the price too much, like we're accustomed to seeing in a lot of sport where tickets are given away for free, either through some youth events or deep discounting, how that affects our branding. If we're going to say to our season ticket holders, you need to spend $50 for a ticket, and here's your ticket, and we collect your $50, and then turn around 2 months later and we're handing tickets out for free because people don't go to our games, why would somebody buy a ticket for $50 then? Perhaps by discounting our products so much and handing tickets out for free, although we're looking to create revenue in merchandising and concession sales, we're actually going to be killing our ticket price because we're not going to get our season tickets anymore. So there's a lot of strategies. There's a lot of give and takes. There's pros and cons. It is a science and an art. There's no one really good way. You take one, you may have to apply it somewhere else. Look at distribution issues. How can we efficiently and effectively get our products? Where to build our stadium if we're going to build a new stadium? Do we want to build it in an area that we can have parking all around us and control that? Or do we want it downtown, which may give us more access to consumers and spectators and fans, but we're not going to get the parking revenue? How do we sell tickets? How can we get more tickets in the hands of people who are buying it? And we're going to look at some promotional strategies, public relations, personal selling, sales promotion, sponsorship. How do we get our name out there? Here's the infamous marketing mix, the 5 P's as it were. You can look at product, price, place, people, process, promotion. So we're looking at how all this comes together, how we're going to apply this marketing mix. You can think of it as a toolbox, and each one's a tool, and we can use some different things and build our product. You can think of it as a cupboard full of ingredients. We're going to put a little bit of advertising and affect the people. As we go through this, always keep in mind that our resources are limited. We can't just hire a bunch of new people because that's going to increase our costs. Also, our search costs to find those people are going to dramatically increase. We're not going to be able to advertise everywhere. Compare it to Anheuser-Busch with their $500 million advertising budget. Also compare it to Pizza and More that may only have a couple thousand. How are we going to best utilize our information? Strategic sport marketing process, the process of planning, implementing, and controlling marketing efforts to meet organizational goals and satisfy consumer needs. It's strategy, a strategic process. Think about strategy used in a game. Football, you have coaches thinking about, we're going to game plan. We're going to throw the ball because we have a really good quarterback and great wide receivers, and their defensive backs are a little young. However, once the game starts, we're going to get in and start talking about different areas that maybe the weather's bad, or maybe our quarterback gets hurt, or the wide receiver sprains a hamstring, or something along those lines. So we have to adjust it. That's what strategy is. We're going to plan, we're going to implement that plan, but we're also going to control it. Control means we're going to continually look at all the assumptions that we've made and see if they're true. Perhaps we're doing a marketing plan to get families to the ballpark, and then a major manufacturer in our town decides to move, or they go out of business, thereby putting more people out of work, limiting our ability to reach that family dynamic. We want to then change our expenses. We may not continue to go after that. We may go after someone else. We want to look at the strategy, and we want to figure out how we can best do it. When you see areas like this where on the strategic sport marketing process, stick to your strategy, where I have YouTube clips or other links to videos, certainly upload those and take a look at them. A lot of them will really flesh out some of these concepts. During a lecture, I would typically look at those, so I encourage you to watch them as well. Sport marketing is very different than other type of products. We go to a game, and everyone who watches a game thinks that they know more than the coach does, certainly more than the owner does. We have a unique passion for sport. We have high consumer involvement. It's intense. We define ourselves based on teams that we like, based on things that we do. I'm a skier, I'm a runner, I play marbles, whatever it would be. We define ourselves by being a big Miami Dolphins fan or a Giants fan or whatever that would be. Sport is unpredictable. Results aren't guaranteed. We can't base our marketing on winning because winning isn't guaranteed. The other team is trying to win. It's different than McDonald's. You go into a McDonald's in Cortland, you go into a McDonald's on Long Island, you go into a McDonald's in New Jersey, California, you're going to get the same hamburger, the same quality, the same food. You buy a can of soup at any store, it's going to be the same. Sport is unpredictable. Even if you play golf on the same golf course every Friday, your experience is going to be different. There's no tangible product produced. Our output is produced, delivered, and consumed at the same time. We don't create something and then store it at a retail environment. We build something, we have the game, we have the experience, and then it's gone. So we focus on the product extensions. We focus on other aspects that we might be able to make more tangible. Different groups, different clubs engage in competition, but also they cooperate. You don't have Ford and General Motors very often working together. However, the Yankees and the Red Sox cooperate and work together in the league aspect. They share different ideas. They build things together. On the field of play, you compete, yet there's a lot of cooperation. Sport marketing has sponsorships. Consumer packaged goods and other types of industries want to create the access that we have to our consumer, use that for their own. We have publicity. And when I say principal form of advertising, discount that because it's not really advertising because it's unpaid. But we have broadcast television dedicating their time to publicize our product. If you watch the local television network at the 11 o'clock news, you're going to see about 5 minutes every night dedicated to sport. And of that, probably 3 minutes dedicated to a local team. We don't have to buy that time to advertise. They're going to be telling us that there's a game Friday. Here's the pitcher. Here's how the game looks. They do that for us. Flip side of it, it's very popular. We get negative publicity. Things that happen poorly or may run afoul of what people may think is ethically correct, we're going to get a lot of negative impact. And the facility itself becomes a distribution point. And we use the facility as a drawing card. We have many stadia around the country that have hotels in there and restaurants and Hall of Fames that lend itself to a more 365-day-a-year event as opposed to just a couple of events or 80 events during the year. Everything you need to know. This isn't a math course, but we do look at a couple of equations. First equation, satisfaction equals benefits minus costs. As satisfaction increase, your sales increase. If you do something and you generate satisfaction from it, you're going to do it more. If you go skiing and you like it, you're going to go skiing more often. If you run, if you watch a game, anything you do, the higher your satisfaction level is, the more you're going to do it. Benefits equal things that enhance or promote our well-being, things that are good. So I like running, I like the benefits it gets. I like going to a game, I like the excitement. I like cheering for my team. I like the communal aspect of rooting for people. I like a commonality. Satisfaction equals benefits minus costs. Costs are not solely money, and you'll see this equation come up quite often. Costs aren't just the ticket cost. So if I go to a game and I want to go to a Buffalo Bills game, the benefits are I like it, it's rather convenient, it's a great team and a lot of fun. Negatives could be the ticket cost. It could be the cost of driving all the way out to Buffalo. It could be the drive out there, certainly in inclement weather. It could be parking, could be a hassle. It could take a long time to leave the parking lot. Those are costs. They're not necessarily money, but they are costs. Maybe we're not going to go to a game because the perception it isn't safe in that area. So as marketers, we want to look at increasing the benefit, sure, but we also want to, how do we decrease costs? If all of those costs occur at a Buffalo Bills game, it's probably not going to affect us when the Patriots come to town, or maybe the Dolphins come to town, a big rival. I'm going to go there. If I get stuck in traffic, that's fine because the game is going to be so good and the benefits derived from that are going to be so large that it's worth it. However, when a other team that's not a rival, maybe the Houston Texans or the Jacksonville Jaguars or a team that's not doing as well come, now our benefits are decreased. Maybe we're not getting the same kind of excitement. Maybe we start thinking about it's going to be cold. I don't want to take 3 hours driving out there, an hour to park, watch the game, hour to leave, come back. It's not worth it. So we got to look on how to minimize costs. Other hint that you need to know. Revenue equals markets times consumption. To increase revenue, which is exactly what we want to do, we can focus on two different areas. One, markets. We can go after a brand new market. Maybe we are looking at SUNY Cortland football and we can see how we want to focus on freshmen or females or males or on campus versus off campus or townspeople or alumni. Focus on the market to increase revenue. Or we can increase consumption. Maybe we see people who go to 2 games a year. How can we get them to go to 3 games a year? Oftentimes, and we'll look at this semester, it's easier to get people to buy more than it is to buy one. What is sport marketing? What are the elements? It's not just advertising and promotions. It's not just the tactics that we look at the end of the semester. It's this idea of research. It's this idea of consumer behavior. It's this idea of understanding our audience and how they're going to respond to different stimuli. We're going to look at customer and consumer marketing. We're going to use both. If we want to increase sales to a consumer, we have to focus on that distribution channel. What can we do to increase the customer buying more in order for the consumer to buy more? We want to know the why before the how. We don't want to focus on tactics. We want to focus on our goals and our SMART objectives. In other words, we don't want to decide on we're going to sponsor baseball. We want to see what our target audience is. Where are we? For instance, maybe our target market is Central New York. So if we're married to sponsoring the Yankees, that may not give us the best coverage here in Central New York in terms of a game experience. And then a discussion question to work with your group. Compare and contrast different sports and entertainment in your local market. I hope this helps. and I look forward to seeing you guys in the lecture.